Alright, so if you want to maybe learn how to create something like the song Just Raw or Give Me More by Aloboi, I think it is pronounced the name, then it is super simple. You can use you don't spend any money. You can use super free plugins like Vital and Analog Lab, so they don't cost a thing. And so I made my own to kind of make an example of it. I'll only really show the drop because that's kind of the most important part. But the first part in Vital, we have these chords. So we have an E, a C, and a G, right? And so these chords originally are just like this, right? But I kind of wanted a higher note on them. So I just took the highest note of each and I just pitched it up an octave and still kept the original. So it kind of gives that cool gliding sound. Right, so we do have a bass. The bass line just follows the chord, the root note of whatever chord is playing. We're using Analog Lab for that and a low end boost. And for the Vital and stuff, I won't go over too much of the presets I'm using. I'll put a download link for it, but I won't go over it too much, just so I can talk about some other stuff. So yeah, we have these chords, and then repeat, same thing. But then these two, which were originally here before, we just pitch them up one octave, and it sounds really cool like this. So super cool. If you're gonna make chords, probably add a higher version, like a higher note for every chord, just so it's, gives more of a epic feel, maybe kind of like atmospheric. So yeah, it does that. Pause here. We have a new chord progression. Chords look like this. Obviously, feel free to copy these. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, so the E, C, and the D here. And again, same thing with these high notes. Wouldn't be here, but kind of want to add higher notes usually, just to give that extra feeling. And then, so those three chords, bass line follows the root note of each one. And then we just add the last chord of the one here. So we put this chord at the very end here. So there's 4 chords in this section. Because we kind of want it to like come back to the same place, but we want new chords, right? So new chords really want the same place where this left off, right? So kind of like that, Got a little break here again. Goes back to the original chords without the high notes. So that's it for the pre-drop, right? So for the actual drop, we're using the same chords as we're using here and like at the very start, but we're just taking these chords and we're pretty much copy and pasting them, and we're just copy and pasting, right? And we're just pitch shifting up and we're like pitch shifting down, right? So it kind of gives it more of a deeper feel when you have it's one chord, but it's on like every octave. So for this, that sounds really, really cool. If you're trying to make something like this, definitely try to do that. I mean, it's preference at the end of the day. But for this stuff, I think it sounds really cool if you're trying to get that raw kind of, but still like atmospheric and big sound. So yeah, so the automations for the Vital, most important one really, I'll only really go over a few, but the filter cutoff. In filter 1, we have oscillator 1 and 3 on, and we're just using the initial presets, right? So I'm not using any crazy presets I made. I'm using all initial presets for this. So the filter 1 cutoff, obviously that's what's making the sound slowly going up, and it stays at a steady 72, and then right before the drop right here, you should hear it come down again, and it slowly goes up. And then before this starts again, down and then up, and then down and then up, and then at the very end it goes all the way down again. The port amount of time is pretty important too. So the portamento time, 0.5 the whole time. And then here we want it to take a little bit longer, so we put it at 1.4. Just because we don't want it to get to the chords right away. We still want that big atmospheric sound. So we want it to slowly get to where it's going. So you can try to kind of replicate that. You know, it goes up here and it goes down, but it stays kind of at the same spot. The voices also pretty important. I don't like to go above 10 voices in one oscillator, just because I feel like then there's too many. But I feel like 10 is a good stopping point. And then here we want only one, because we want more of that raw sound. We don't want more voice, we just want the raw oscillator. And then here 10, here 1, and then at the end we go 10 again. So it gives a cool effect. You'll see it when I show it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The oscillator 1 distortion type will go sync at the drop. For number 2, we also have the same thing. The distortion amount for an oscillator 2, we have 0, and then it goes to 48. And then for 1, we have the destination going from filter 1 to direct out. So those are very important. I'll put the preset in the description for sure. So that's very, very important. And then for the mixer, track volume just goes down a little bit here, but otherwise we have no automations for that. And then the next most important thing for the drop is probably the voices we have here. So I'll show these individually. So yeah, this is the first one. So yeah, it sounds pretty shitty by itself, obviously, but that's okay, because it can be with everything else. So this one is just raw. We have these 3 plugins all free on it. But this is just the regular voice. We don't have anything pitch shifted yet. And then for the second one here, it sounds like this. That one, exact same things from the first one, but here, the only thing we change is we pitch shift it down 12 semitones with the Gralion 3. So that's the only thing we change. Don't change anything else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then for the third one, we have the same thing, but we pitch shift it up 12. So this is like super important if you want a voice in there, like kind of like a choir, but you don't want to sing the chords. You just want to sing maybe one note. This is very important. You can use Analog Lab, but I feel like doing it raw with your own voice is just always better. They sound like this together. They don't sound good by themselves. But the point isn't them by themselves, it's with everything else, right? So you can take a look at the drop here. I'll start it from here. But really try to listen to those voices, because those bring out like so much of the atmosphere. And same with the bass. So after that, it just repeats. Does the same thing till the end. But like, we do still have strings here. The strings are we just have an Analog Lab for them. Very simple. Again, the same thing we did with the Vital on the drop. Same chords as we started with. It's copy and paste, pitch shift them up and down. Same chord, just at different octaves. So that sounds really good. It sounds like this. So that's the drop. I mean, that's the most important part of the song. But this is a very simple thing to do. He uses Vital for almost all of his songs, I'm pretty sure. And it's free. So, I mean, you kind of have the ability to do it. It's kind of right in front of you. There's no reason not to do it. So, yeah, I thought I'd make an example song, maybe, kind of, if you want to call it that. So you guys can see how to make that kind of stuff. The voices, very important. Please add those. And please use Vital. Vital is like the best thing to use for this. Like, I couldn't name a better plugin to do stuff like he does for like the portamento and all the oscillators and everything. This is a perfect plugin for it, especially like even the free version. And then Analog Lab 2 for the basses and like pads and stuff and the strings and everything is amazing. Like, absolutely amazing, and it's totally free. Everything that you could need, or everything that I use anyway, totally free. Yeah, the voices, get these 3 plugins for sure. These are also all free. And all the other plugins that I'm using here, most of these are free. If they're not free, then it's because I got them from buying like an item like the Focusrite Scarlett plugin, or not plugin, sorry, audio interface. Otherwise, I've never bought a plugin in my life. I probably still won't, because you can make all this stuff without having to do that. So, try to do that before you go buying stuff. Definitely try this out. I'll link some of the presets. And yeah, try to make something like this. Feel free to use the chords for sure. Try to make your own thing. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. And I hope you can make the same kind of thing that I did and have a same good experience that I had while making this song.